It's Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, with analyst Evyn Murray, UATV Sports Director Joey Putrelo, and analyst Salva Carmona. Dorm Room Sports Chat starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome to this semester's final episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, joined tonight by our three analysts, Evyn Murray and Joey Putrelo, and filling in for Salva tonight is UATV Director Greg Fingerhut. Tonight, we'll recap Arizona basketball's impressive blowout win over Texas Tech, preview Arizona football's upcoming bowl game, and discuss some of yesterday's college football conference championships. We'll follow up with the Cat Report and NFL West Coast rundown, and finally finish off with a game of 30 seconds. Last night, the number 9 Arizona basketball squad hit the road for the first time. They defeated Texas Tech 85-57. It was the fourth game in a row where the Wildcats defeated their opponent by more than 20 points. Evyn, the line for this game was Arizona by 12. How are they able to beat Texas Tech by almost 30 points?
It's pretty simple. They've just gotten better. Zeus showed up. He's getting his rebounds. We have Solomon and Mark consistently putting up great points. They both put up 14. And, overall, they're just getting better. Zeus had 13 rebounds. So I was a little worried about him, to be honest, in the last few games. Not worried. He was just very freshman-like to me. And then we also have Brandon Ashley coming through every time. And I must mention, because most improved player from last year, Nick Johnson. He is crucial on both ends. He's fabulous on defense. Everyone loves to watch him there. And then he put up 18 points over Texas Tech, so I'm convinced on him.
Texas Tech, I think, just didn't prepare well enough for this game. I think maybe even they underestimated Arizona and what this basketball team can do this year. Arizona dominated the backcourt. They dominated the front court. Texas Tech also took 21 threes. Arizona took 22. And for Texas Tech, they're not that great of a three-point shooting team, so they can't be doing that. They can't be taking stupid shots like that, especially one of the top teams in the country like Arizona comes into their own building, and they just needed to prepare better for that. And I think that's why originally the point spread was Arizona by 12. They ended up winning by 28, so that's the way it is.
And I think one of the biggest points was the fact that this was our first game against a real big-time school. We played Long Beach State, we played UTEP. This is our first major conference team that we played, and I feel the fact that we were able to come through in the clutch is a really big, good step for Arizona. Kentucky lost twice this week, and they were at number 8, so you're definitely looking at a moving up in the rankings for University of Arizona, and I think that a lot of stuff rides on their upcoming game against Florida in a week.
Yeah, and Texas Tech, they're not a great school by any means, but we obviously came prepared, because any away game is going to be hard. Because, I think their attendance was really low, but regardless, it's not in McHale, and McHale's unreal.
It was their first road game, too.
Right, so they obviously prepared really well, and the freshmen didn't seem nervous. Out of anyone, Zeus to me, Caleb Tarzewski, tends to be the one who gets nerves, and he looked good. So,
Yeah, as you both were saying, this was, I think what you both were trying to say, this so-called first test, because Texas Tech, is not a cream puff basketball school. They have a lot of rich history throughout their whole program there in Texas Tech. So, yeah, and they just weren't prepared for Arizona, I don't think, and they really underestimate. I think maybe they looked at how last season the team was and thought, oh, okay, maybe on the road this year they'll play the same.
Right.
But that's not the case, and this Arizona basketball team is so much different from last year.
Night and day.
And yes, night and day, and they're doing very well.
And then even, I found it seemed contagious even last year when teams get in three-point competitions. The ones that, you're bound to lose Texas Tech if you're having a three-point competition with Arizona.
Yeah.
We obviously we have Grant Jarrett, who's 6'10", who can shoot outside. we have so many weapons that you just can't do that with us. And I think that's where they really fell. It's like you said, they shot 21 three-pointers.
Shots, yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that against us.
I'm with you guys on that. I definitely have mentioned that there were frustrations in the first 4 games, and there were concerns against Texas Tech being the first road game, the team having 9 days off. But I guess they utilized that time well. But Greg, despite all their success, turnovers are still a concern, and they have been all season for the Wildcats. They had 15 against Texas Tech. How can they fix this problem?
Well, I think a big thing regarding turnovers is that if you're also getting assists, then it's not as big of a deal. We are 8th in assists right now, and obviously the thing about turnovers is that they're bound to happen if you're moving the ball as much as Arizona does. And it's certain players that need to fix the problem. Mark Lyons, who's been having a great season so far, has 3 turnovers a game. Solomon Hill has 1.6. But I think a big part of it is that if Nick Johnson's role grows in the team right now, because he only has 4 assists all year, 4 turnovers all year, excuse me, and with a 5.3 assist to turnover ratio. So the fact of the matter is that turnovers are a problem. They're obviously a big problem. But if you're moving the ball around and getting as many assists as they do get, then they're still okay for now.
I have the same exact outlook on this as you. I don't feel like I'm not that concerned with the turnovers. We average 18 assists. The ball is moving. We have talent everywhere. Our team is incredibly unselfish. Turnovers come with assists and moving the ball, like you said. So I don't have a huge problem with it. I think Mark Lyons really needs to work on that. I'm not sure where the problem exactly is for him. I'm not sure, but
I think it might be he's trying to do too much.
Right
now it seems like Mark Lyons is obviously stepping into a huge role. He obviously came over from Xavier. And the thing about it is that I feel like right now it seems when you watch him, he's pressing a little bit. He's calling for some ISOs. He's doing some stuff that, Arizona basketball right now is move the ball, pass and move. And he's not really doing that.
You know what? Just real fast.
Go ahead.
To go off of that, I think you're completely right in a sense because Mark Lyons is trying to get drafted as a point guard. So essentially, he is going to want to be passing the ball more. And when he's doing that, he's just not very good at it right now. And so that's where he's putting up impressive points. He's being the floor general in the sense where he's calling the plays, he's doing certain things, but his passing needs to be worked on. And I think you have a great point that it's really just like him trying to do too much.
And guys, remember with the turnovers, it's really good that they're moving the ball around, they're averaging all these assists, but at the end of the day, and especially come in March, they're going to need to work on that because championship teams move the ball well and don't turn the ball over.
You're right.
So that's going to be something they'll need to work on.
Well, obviously, again, like how we said that this game was one of their first real big tests. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if this continues, once we get into Pac-12 play, if this continues against big-name teams, Florida, if this happens against Florida, we won't win.
Because the thing is, turnovers obviously convert into points if the team is good enough to do that. And maybe Texas Tech wasn't good enough to obviously really utilize our turnovers, and it's going to be teams like Florida that are going to make the most of our mistakes. So
exactly, and teams like towards the end of that March Madness tournament, we're going to be going up against teams like Florida, and we're not going to be able to turn the ball 15 times over like that. It's just not possible to win when you do that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Gators, the number 7 Florida team comes to town 2 days after finals are over for Arizona students. What are the Wildcats' chances of winning this game, Joey?
Well, I think that the Wildcats do have a really good chance to win this game because right now we're ranked number 9. Florida's number 7. We have this game at home. There's going to be a good showing, I believe. And, it's really not a good thing that we scheduled this game 2 days after finals because I'm not going to be here for it.
I'll come back for it, but that's it.
Well, you're from
I'm
Phoenix.
From Phoenix, so
easy
I'll
for you to say.
Exactly.
But it's really disappointing, the scheduling of this game, because if it were here, the Zona Zoo would just be going absolutely nuts. I know there's going to be a lot of people from Tucson coming to this game, but still it's not the same atmosphere that all the college students give. Also, Florida is a very dangerous team. They slammed number 22 at the time, number 22, Wisconsin, 74-56. Billy Donovan is just a mastermind at head coach, a 392 158 coaching record. He won back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007. They have Kenny Boynton, their senior guard. He's one of the main leaders on the team. They have Eric Murphy, a senior power forward and center who dominates down low, who can shoot the three-point shot very well. And the Wildcats will have their hands full against the Gators. But still, both teams very deep, and it's going to be down to the wire, I think, throughout the whole game. Arizona's got a shot, though, I would say.
I think Arizona has a shot. The only difference is their key players seem to be older. And then also, they're 55th in rebounds with 39.5. We are 108th with 37.4. And then field goal percentage, they're 47 and we're 52.3. The thing is, I'm not so worried about the rebounds just because I think we don't get as many rebounds, and it's only a small fraction of it, but we make in a majority of our shots. That's why, I mean, we don't have the offensive rebounds like all the other teams have who have a lower field goal percentage. So, I mean, you have that, and I think that it's just going to be tough for the freshmen to really, their nerves have to be completely calm. And then Eric Murphy, who he mentioned, 6'10" forward center who can shoot the three. And I think that's going to be a great matchup for Grant Jarrett because essentially they both can shoot the three and they're both big guys. So they're a threat to each other. So really, I think both teams have massive weapons that it's going to be down to the wire, I think.
Well, obviously you can also look at the game that we had against Florida last year.
Yeah, they went to overtime.
Which was very close.
It was.
So then
it was on the road, too.
Exactly.
And they had more weapons.
So then the question is that, well, how would you compare last year's Arizona team to this year's Arizona team and this year's Florida team to last year's?
Right.
Do you think it'll be close? I really, really wish that this was a game, again, that everyone was here because that home court advantage would be huge. That would be a great help.
Right.
But honestly, I think that Texas Tech was a test for them, like I said, and the fact of the matter is that I think that obviously Florida's completely different. They're way better.
Completely
but
different.
the thing about it is that you can't ever count out a team coached by Billy Donovan.
No.
They're great. He's great. The players that they have, again, are, like you said, a lot of them are upperclassmen. They expect to win the SEC this year.
Right. And we do have Michael Frazier, who is a guard freshman. He had a big game versus Marquette. 17 points. He's kind of on the board everywhere, kind of like a Nick Johnson. So, but not as good. Well,
the one thing is that, do I think we're going to win this game? I honestly do, but it's going to be close.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be hard fought. Sean Miller's going to learn a lot about his team from this.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to learn because
we're going to learn so much about Arizona.
Which is going to be nice because we need these tests. This is our problem with our weak non-conference schedule.
Exactly.
Is we need Florida so bad.
And I like how early in the schedule it is too, because when you play a team as good as Florida, and you know you could probably be meeting them again somewhere down the road,
right.
Especially in the NCAA tournament. It's a good way to really take a look at yourself, take a look in the mirror as a team and say, how good are we when we're matched up with such an elite team such as Florida? And, you know, again, it's really disappointing that this game is right after finals because last year we were all here in Tucson, but the team was in Gainesville.
In Florida,
so.
Well, if
it is what it is.
We can't win them. We can't.
Sorry,
win
go ahead.
Right? No, I'm just saying about how we can't win with a conference schedule all the time, or non-conference, I guess.
I was gonna add to what you guys said. If you guys think Texas Tech is a challenge, the Gators will be, I think, the biggest test for the team so far, and even throughout Pac-12 play. Just because, like you guys mentioned, the teams are pretty much neck to neck as far as talent. I think both teams have a lot of depth. The Gators have 7 returners, 3 of which were starters, and like you guys said, we lost to them in overtime this time last year. So we'll have to see how Arizona thrives against them. We did, like I said, lose to them, and the Gators have made the Elite 8 in the past 2 years. They lost to Louisville, who's a powerhouse this year. So if you guys can tune into that game, they definitely need the support. When we come back, we have a lot of college football to discuss. You're not going to want to miss this.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UA TV. Don't change the channel.
Hello, and welcome to UA Tonight.
We are your hosts.
No. It's okay, you don't have to cut me off.
No way.
Guatemala? I'm like literally
so
obsessed
much.
with baby, I'll be such you like glue. Baby.
It's all these travelers. I've never even been there. For drunk driving after calling the cops on himself.
We thought that, you guys. Oh my god!
Team recorded 7 wins this season, making them bowl eligible after their 6th win. The Wildcats will be competing in the New Mexico Gildan Bowl against Nevada. Evyn, let's talk about Arizona's bowl game matchup this year. We didn't make a bowl last year and we got swept the 2 years before that. How does this matchup look for us this year?
The matchup doesn't look too bad. I mean, we're playing Nevada, who has the same record as us. We're just the thing that we're very similar teams because, one, we both have great running backs who Stephon Jefferson is their running back. We have Kadeem Carey, obviously. We both have high-powered offenses, not so good defenses, so we're pretty much an on-target matchup for them. The only thing is Nevada is 5-1 in away games. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, and Nevada is no joke for this Arizona Wildcats team. They can't have their minds still on the ASU loss.
Right.
They have to completely forget about that and, just wait till next year to get back at ASU. For right now, the focus is Nevada, and they have to understand that because Nevada, they're not in as good of a conference, and they didn't play nearly as hard of a schedule as Arizona did, and they didn't have impressive wins over teams like USC or Oklahoma State or anything like that. We've never seen Nevada win against any team like that this season. However, last week they gave Boise State a game, who's number 20 in the nation. They lost by just 6 points, and Boise won that game 27-21. And if Boise State played Arizona, that would be an extremely intriguing game and a very close game right down to the wire because both of those two football teams are very good. So if Nevada can give Boise State a game, if Arizona gets too lackadaisical, then they could be in trouble.
Well, the one thing I think, again, is, yes, they do have the same record, both teams, but, I mean, the Pac-12 is better than the Mountain West.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's
Easily.
very easily. Yeah. And also the thing about the Wolfpack is that they're always around. There was a year when 2 years in a row when Boise State was trying to go for a BCS game, and they beat them, I think, on, last-second field goals. They're not that bad of a team. Mind you, do I think that Arizona's team can handle them? I think we can.
Right.
Yeah.
The main thing is that with the team like Nevada, one thing that helps with us is that we're a very small defense, but their offense is also very small. They just have a smaller team. I can't name statistics off the top of my head, but I know the Mountain West, it seems like when you watch games, you can tell that through recruiting, they don't get the biggest guys. And that masks one of our biggest weaknesses. And just another thing, you got to hats off to Rich Rodriguez. I mean, this was a year that was still a success.
Absolutely. No questions asked.
Personally, I wasn't too big on Rich Rod coming into the year, but he proved me wrong. I think he did great, and I think that for University of Arizona this season, huge success, no matter what happens against Nevada.
I completely agree with you. I think if anyone here or anyone at all would have said that I didn't even think we were going to have a winning record. I don't think if someone would have said that we were bowl eligible, does anyone think here that I would have laughed at them, honestly?
I thought a 6-6 was possible. I didn't think it would be any more than 6 wins, but just the job that he's done has been really phenomenal.
Yeah, with not much on the defensive end. We've said it time and time again, and I'll say it again. He worked with a lot of nothing on the defensive end.
A lot of small guys.
Their team, a bunch of heart, but not talent-wise, not the most ideal guys. And so,
I think that they have talent on defense, but it's just that they're thin, and they
that's
get
true.
and like
Injuries.
and through injuries and other things like that, and through being tired, and you have to sub different people in and out. And a couple freshmen got playing time this year, like CJ Dozier and stuff like that, and they're still learning the system. New defensive coordinator as well. He brought in Calvin Maggi or whatever. So yeah, it's a successful season to see.
Yes, and this bowl game, I just have a feeling. One, I don't know that Arizona's going to travel very well to New Mexico. I don't really think so. Definitely with Florida playing at McHale.
The same day.
The same day.
And it's also graduation day.
Right. So nothing's really working in our favor for this game except for our team. So at least we have them. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. Like I said, both offenses are powerful. They put up a lot of points. So it should be a good matchup. I think it'll be a good game. Everyone can watch it at home before they go to the Florida game. Or if you're out of town, like, unfortunate you guys.
For me, it's going to be a long day at the television.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, it'll definitely be an offensive showdown. Arizona is ranked number 7 offensively in the nation, with Nevada ranked in at number 11. Like Evan mentioned, they have Stephon Jefferson and we have Kadeem Carey. So Nevada and the Arizona Wildcats will play on December 15th in the New Mexico Bowl. Greg, yesterday, bringing it back to the Pac-12, Stanford won with a nail-biting victory, 27 against 24 over UCLA. Is the Cardinal a strong enough team to avoid losing the second straight BCS bowl game? What do you think, Greg?
Well, one major thing is that it was a very close game, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting Stanford to just come out and kill it against UCLA. The one thing that is in their favor is who they're playing. They're playing Wisconsin, who is the first 5-loss team to ever make a BCS bowl. They only went 4-4 in the conference. The only reason they were there was because both Ohio State and Penn State, who finished better than them, were ineligible for the playoff, for the postseason this year. Do I think that they have a chance? I definitely do, because David Shaw is a really good coach. After Harbaugh, people weren't really sure about him, and he's shown that he's very good. Stephon Taylor has had a great year. He's almost had 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. And, I mean, the one thing that, again, helps them is if they were playing Nebraska, who lost to Wisconsin, this might be a different story. But, I mean, Wisconsin won. They won in overtime. It was a really close game. And they deserve the right to go to the Rose Bowl. They do still have Monty Ball, who has the most touchdowns in FBS history. So there's always that. But they're 115th in passing with about 150 yards a game. So, I mean, out of all the BCS bowls, I think both teams in this bowl game might not be as good as some other teams, especially Wisconsin. But I think Stanford has a very good chance of coming through in this game.
Yeah, I do too. I think that Stanford is a significantly better team than Wisconsin is, and Wisconsin actually lost to UCLA earlier in the season, I believe. So
that's very telling.
So it's I think that Stanford does have a great shot at the Rose Bowl this year. I was rooting for them in the Fiesta Bowl this year. It was sad to see Andrew Luck go out with a loss in the Fiesta Bowl, but that's college football, I guess, sometimes. And Stanford, really their defense has improved so much more this year than from last year. And I think that it's a very winnable Rose Bowl this year for Stanford.
All right, Joey, the BCS National Championship game this year will be between the number 1 Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide. Will Alabama repeat for another championship this year?
Absolutely, and I actually think that this SEC championship game that was yesterday between Georgia and Alabama I don't think this game with Notre Dame and Alabama is going to be half what the Georgia-Alabama game was, because those were just two SEC powerhouses just colliding, going at it. It was great football. Notre Dame, don't want to take anything away from them. They've had a phenomenal season. They've had some huge wins this year, and they've impressed me throughout, and I believe that they've really overachieved. But just, especially if you look at last year's championship game when LSU played Alabama, I thought that game was going to be really close, and Alabama was dominant in that game, and they won 21-0, won the national championship last year. I don't think that this game against Notre Dame is going to be even as close as the Georgia game. this year, Alabama's beaten LSU. They've blown out Mississippi State, and Mississippi State at the time was ranked 11th in the nation. They've also blown out Tennessee, which is not a joke of a team either. Saban, 3 national championships. He could get 4. He's chasing the record of 6, which is held by Fielding Yost and Bear Bryant. Saban's just 61 years old, too, so he's going to be coaching for, I think, at least another 5 years. And if he keeps recruiting as well as he has done and he keeps having the success that he's had, then he could be chasing the record, and I think he'll get his 4th national championship after this Notre Dame game, and he could get more after this, I think, too.
I'm with Joey. I think Alabama's going to win as well. I mean, he talked about how the Georgia-Alabama game was good. Alabama was down 21-10 at half. They came up, everyone expected them to go to their passing game. They came up with 350 yards rushing. They can use any weapon, really. And Brian Kelly really models, it seems like, his team after Alabama football. So it's really just Notre Dame trying to beat Alabama at its own game. And the thing is, when that's normally the case, you're not going to win. And so, to me, I think Alabama's going to win this game. I think it'll be a good one, but they'll come out on top.
I think that, again, I also think Alabama's going to win. I think it's going to be a closer game than Joey thinks. But the thing about it with Notre Dame is that you can't take away that they have an undefeated season. Brian Kelly did great. That team, Manti Te'o on the defense was great. But the one thing is that a lot of their games are very close. And they were undefeated, but some of their games, I think they almost lost to Pitt.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. I know that Alabama would never be in a situation like that. Whenever they play, if they ever played a team like Pittsburgh, they would absolutely steamroll.
Right.
But the one thing is that, obviously, for Notre Dame, who's had a history of just winning, this is a really big thing for them to be able to go to a national championship game. They've never been before this year #1 in the BCS, which has only been around since 2000, I believe. And I think that maybe Brian Kelly can try to motivate his guys. I mean, Theo Riddick is a really good running back as well, but you can't possibly think that he's going to run wild against an SEC defense, let alone Alabama. Eric Goldston has had some good days and had some really bad days. So it's the sort of thing that depends what kind of Notre Dame team shows up. If every single player on that team plays to the best of their abilities, it can be close, but I think even if that happens, which I think could happen, I think Alabama still will win. But it's got to be, a main thing is Alabama's been there. They've done this. They were here last year.
With a guy like Golston, he's never played in a game this huge before. And I just think if you look at the schedules and look how they've played against the teams that they've done, Alabama, the one blemish on their season was that game against Texas A&M. Every other time, they came into the stadium wherever they were playing, and they played the way that they should. If they weren't playing a powerhouse, they absolutely steamrolled them. And even sometimes if they did play really good teams, like Mississippi State at the time was number 11, they steamrolled them. And also, they beat LSU, too. I don't even think that Notre Dame could beat Georgia or LSU. I don't think they could. That's just me, though. You could sue me, but
I would say you're really on the ball.
I just don't think that Notre Dame could contend as well in the SEC
and
if they had an SEC-like schedule.
Yeah, and then a little fun fact for Notre Dame coaches. 4 coaches from Notre Dame have won titles in their 3rd year of coaching. So it is Brian Kelly's year, right? But
Brian Kelly's year, yeah.
Roll Tide.
I don't think so, Notre Dame. I'm sorry. It was a good year. It was a phenomenal year.
He's wearing red, his Christmas sweater, just for them. Look at that.
Well, I don't know about just for them. I'm just Christmas spirited.
All right, well, I'm going to root for the underdog on this one. I think it's just as hard to do a repeat as it is to have a Cinderella story like Notre Dame did this year. So with that, stay tuned for the Cat Report and the NFL West Coast Rundown after this commercial break. Don't change the channel.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hoff. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
Come game time, pressure falls on the shoulders of this season's drum major.
For an entire week, there's golfing, food, drinks, and entertainment that doesn't stop when the sun goes down.
If you are not yet registered to vote, here's what an Arizona voter registration form looks like.
Bundle up, Wildcats, winter is almost here. Reporting from the UA Mall for Wildcats, I'm Shay Sorensen.
Oh, I'm about to get heated about UCLA. Let's go.
Welcome back, Wildcats. We now give you the Cat Report. Earlier today, the Arizona women's basketball squad fell 71-61 on the road against Long Beach State. Their record dropped to 5-3. Last night, Nick Johnson scored 18 points. With his help, the number 9 Arizona men's basketball team beat down Texas Tech in Lubbock 85-57. Their record now stands at a perfect 5-0. Arizona hockey swept San Diego State at home over the weekend, winning 5-3 on Friday and 9-2 last night. Senior goalie David Herman has been dismissed by head coach Sean Hogan. The team will stick with Steven Sisler as the starter, with backups Bob Schultz and Dylan Hodgnicki. In men's swimming yesterday, Wildcat sophomore Kevin Cordes became the first male to ever break the 151 mark in the 200 breast. He led the team on the final day of the USA AT&T Winter National Championships. Arizona Swimming set 2 American records and an amazing 8 meet records. Now over to Joey for the NFL West Coast Rundown.
The Arizona Cardinals lost their 8th straight game today in the Meadowlands against the New York Jets 7-6. The San Francisco 49ers fell in overtime on the road to the St. Louis Rams 16-13. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks pulled off a 23-17 upset over the Chicago Bears at home. The San Diego Chargers fell 20-13 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Oakland Raiders at home fell 20-17 to the Cleveland Browns. That does it for the NFL West Coast Rundown. Back to you, Emmy.
Thanks, Joey. Analysts, former USC Trojans, now New York Jets quarterback, Mark Sanchez, was benched this week. Greg McElroy replaced him. Sanchez completed under 50% of his passes and threw for no touchdowns and 3 picks. McElroy was 5 of 7 for 29 yards and threw the touchdown pass that would win the Jets the game. Will Mark Sanchez be the Jets starting quarterback next week? What do you think, analysts?
No.
You know, I mean, I don't even think that Mark Sanchez will be in a New York Jets uniform next year, let alone be their starting quarterback next week. This game, he played so badly. And I know I'm a person who really hates the Jets, but Mark Sanchez was horrible today. And Greg McElroy came in and led that team down the field, throwing for 5 of 7 for 29 yards. Threw the touchdown pass that would ultimately win the game for the New York Jets. Mark Sanchez, it's your time to go. Sorry.
I just think that the Jets must be so mad that Tim Tebow wasn't active today. A lot of the Jets fans, because the Jets fans have been clamoring for him all year. They were just waiting for Tim Tebow to finally get his chance. And who would have thought that this far into the season, Greg McElroy would have more touchdown passes than Tim Tebow?
No kidding. And then also, I mean, I don't see them benching Mark Sanchez and then being like, all right, you can come back the next game and start the game. So I think we're all hoping for Tim Tebow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's so exciting.
It's his time.
The one thing is that obviously he has been hurt. And the thing about it is that if he's not ready, if Tim Tebow is still hurt, they will not start Greg McElroy over Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow. They'll probably play Sanchez again. If Tebow's ready...
Sanchez has done nothing to prove this season, though, that he should be at quarterback. He's been in the league 4 years, has never completed over 55% of his passes. He's lazy, and he should not be the starting quarterback of the Jets anymore. I think he needs to have a change of scenery. He needs to take a hard look at himself in the mirror and think, do I want to be a starting quarterback in this football league? Because he's just not good enough. He's never going to... people always would defend him in the previous years because, oh, he's a rookie. Oh, he's just in his second year. Oh, the defense can carry him. But this year, the Jets' defense is terrible. And he is still terrible, just as bad as he was last year, just as bad as he was his whole career. Just before this, he always had the fact that he was younger and that he had that defense to back him up. Same thing with Tebow. I don't think that Tebow's arm is going to be good enough to carry this Jets football team.
And you think
Greg McElroy could?
No. Yeah, you think
I think that Greg.
better than Tebow. I can understand understand Mark Sanchez
you think
at this point.
You think that Tebow has a better arm than Greg McElroy?
It's like I haven't seen him all season now. We saw him win games for the. I sound like Skip Bayless. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but
Look, I think the one thing you have to think of regarding Rex Ryan, regarding who's starting next week. Rex Ryan the entire season has said, Mark Sanchez is our starting quarterback. Mark Sanchez is our starting quarterback.
But this year he broke.
But do you think
he can't go back on that?
Do you think on Wednesday?
Although, if he goes back on it and pampers Sanchez again and says, oh, you're my guy, you can come on in, that just shows he's a soft head coach.
But maybe he looked at himself in the mirror after this game, after he got benched. You're saying that's what Mark Sanchez needs to do, right? Maybe this will be his,
I don't think he will, though.
Again, the one thing
I just think he's naturally a lazy person.
Well, the one thing, again, is I just keep saying Tim Tebow. If he's ready, think about how the New York tabloids would respond if he's been saying not Tebow but Sanchez all year. Then all of a sudden he comes out, actually, you know what, Greg McElroy is our starting quarterback now. People would lose their minds. And unfortunately,
the fans were chanting McElroy. McElroy.
If it was Tebow, it would be the same thing.
If it was Tebow, then
it'd be the same thing.
But
if it was Tebow, they'd be chanting Tebow too. But it wasn't Tebow. And
look, I just think
I don't think that Tebow's the answer, and I don't think Sanchez is the answer. They're already out.
Do you think Greg McElroy is the answer?
That's what you keep
not
going
right,
to
not right now. But if their record is at 5-7, give Greg McElroy a chance to see if he's good, if he can play in this league, and if next week is against the Jaguars. If he puts up an impressive game against the Jaguars next weekend, I would go with him as the starter.
Tim Tebow lives for clutch situations, and this is pretty clutch.
I think if Tebow is healthy, he's getting started.
I think so too, but it's.
I have a feeling that Mark Sanchez is still going to get that. I mean, it's hard. We've been wondering the situation all year, and finally he put
McElroy
in. So
the Jets' season is over. They're 5-7. I wouldn't even mind have Greg McElroy and Tim Tebow splitting some time up to see who can play better, because the Jets.
I'm okay with that.
Because the Jets have a lot more games to figure out who can be the quarterback next year. Because I think that honestly they should draft a quarterback too in this upcoming NFL draft.
You really have no hope in Tebow.
Not really. Not really. I think that Tebow's a good guy. He's a great guy, and he looks nice in his magazine covers that he's in and stuff. But
listen, I'm not even a Tebow fan in that way, so I'm not with you there.
But as for just the Jets made him gain weight because his role on the team was to not be their quarterback. His role on the team this year was supposed to be getting in on the goal line, because the Jets were horrible on the goal line last year. That's why they bring Tebow in. Yeah, they still are, because Tebow's been hurt. They bring in Tebow. They make him gain weight, so now he's like a throwing fullback pretty much. And so I just don't think that he's the answer for the Jets. I really don't. And I don't think that Greg McElroy could be the answer too. But
I don't think they have
couldn't get any worse.
But this game was, Greg McElroy showed me personally that I think that he could do a better job for the Jets than Tebow or Sanchez could do.
Only time will tell.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll finish off the show with a game of 30 seconds. Don't change the channel.
I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
With an undefeated 5-0 outcome for the Fall Classic Tournament,
the Occupy movement is taking hold because of its strength in numbers.
Tonight is the absolute last night to ride the trolley, as it is closing for 2 years.
I'm sitting on what used to be known as Bear Down Field, which will soon be U of A's new practice field.
I'm Evyn Murray, reporting from McHale Center with Wildcast.
All right, welcome back, guys. It's that time. Evyn, you're going to have 30 seconds to talk about the sports topic of your choosing. Starting now.
All right, Ben Howland, you need to be fired. You are 5-3 for UCLA. Your team, Shabazz, looks at you like you guys are in a marriage that's about to be divorced. He doesn't like you anymore, it seems like. You lost to Georgetown, which isn't about, I mean, you can lose to Georgetown and it'd be okay. You lost to Cal Poly in Poly Pavilion. Josh Smith transferred. Tyler Lamb transferred. You can't be a rude dude and expect players to still like you and stay at your program.
Greg, you have 30 seconds starting now.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about soccer, which is something that we don't talk about a lot.
What?
The LA Galaxy in the MLS Cup won their second straight MLS Cup, and the major thing is that it was the last game for both David Beckham and Landon Donovan. David Beckham has, again, he may not be the player he once was, but he really brought MLS to the national stage. The average salary in the MLS has doubled since he's joined, and he also has not had the best stats, but the major thing is Landon Donovan, who's also retiring from that team, not in international play yet. So, good for them.
Joey, you have 30 seconds starting now.
I just wanted to say to the family of Jovan Belcher that we all have them in our thoughts and prayers. And also props to the Kansas City Chiefs today for pulling out a 27-21 victory over the Carolina Panthers. I cannot believe that just a day after what happened with Jovan Belcher shooting his girlfriend and then shooting himself right in front of his own head coach and general manager, that they were able to come out, stay focused on football, and win this game today. That was just really impressive.
Yep. All right. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. On behalf of all of us, we want to wish you some happy holidays and a happy new year, and we'll see you guys next year.